Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about how do I, as a future planner going into this industry, how do I live up to my own ethics and values? What are those examples of those? That's what I'm going to be covering today. So next slide. Transparency in the project. I think this is a crucial value of a planner. You want to make sure you're fully transparent because you're going to be working with a community, and what you're going to be doing is going to have a lasting impact. So you want to make sure that the people in your community know what's going on. Know like if there's a fault maybe, or if there's a backlag and you can't really get something approved, you want to make sure they know because in their mind, if they see maybe something isn't happening, or maybe some bike lanes are going away, and you didn't tell them about that, that can lead to a lot of backlash as a planner, and that can kind of have an effect on your reputation. But it can also have lasting impacts on the community. If you take away like a bike lane, or if you take away some parking spots, and you didn't talk with the community in advance, those parking spots could have been crucial to some businesses that were there. And if you do this, it could affect these businesses. It could take away some of that business, or they could even close permanently. So it's important to kind of have the community in each step and show them what's going on, because this is also a great way to get their input too. Because you don't want to hide what you're doing. If there's something maybe, especially if it's like, oh, maybe I need to hide this, then you shouldn't be doing that. Yeah. So the next one is also kind of ties in a little bit, especially if not transparent. It's much easier to get financial gains for oneself. This is important. I mean, you don't want to be doing a project, and you're gaining financially from this project. Say if you're putting in maybe a road, or you're planning like new parking lots or something. Maybe these parking lots will help your business, but they won't help others around you. So it's really important to kind of make sure that what you're doing won't have a financial gain on yourself, or maybe it has a little bit of a gain, but it should also help everyone else in the community because your project can contribute financially to the economy of this given community, or this given town, or even at a state level. That's okay, but not when you're the one who's only reaping these profits. And also, financial gains, if you're reaping these, it can affect your kind of view, or how people view you as a planner. It can affect how you get jobs. It can also affect kind of if you can even continue in the industry. I mean, the American Association of Planners, like they can get wind of what's going on, and they could strip you of your certificate, or you could have kind of legal repercussions because of this. So it's really important that when you're doing a project, especially if the project you're given, you already know that, oh, this is going to help just my neighborhood and I live there. So people can see that kind of like you will gain something, even if it's not a financial gain, even if it's just like a material gain, and people see that. Like your neighborhood maybe gets a new walking path and the other neighborhoods don't. People can see this and be like, hey, like this person is using our resources for themselves. So it's really important if something like this is happening to take a step back and look and say, hey, is it okay for me to do this project? So that's really important. The next one is listening to the community. Now, I reflected on this before, but it's especially important as a planner. One of your core values should be to listen to the community around you. Like in this photo, like having a planning session and trying to kind of bring in as many people from the community as you can, looking at statistics, or looking at how does this community kind of react. Um, and you want to have like a representation kind of the community that you're in at these meetings. And if there's, say, one meeting when maybe only the people that are there are people who can only be there because of their jobs permit them to be, and others like night workers can't be there because the meeting's at night, that's something to consider as well. You want to have maybe different times for these meetings. Maybe if you do an online Zoom so people can attend, especially if people have kids at homes, so they can come in so you can actually listen to them. But to kind of go back to like the listening to community, you want to get their input. Things like sticker sessions, like sticky notes, having people write that, having brainstorm meetings, and having this through every step of the process is vital. You don't want to just have a brainstorming plan and then take that and you just do the rest of your project yourself. You want to have them on the brainstorm. You yourself kind of want to come up with this vision and then go back to them with this vision, get more feedback, maybe tweak it a little bit with their feedback, and then just kind of start getting this project. But you still want to get some input as well because it's important. Say if this project's going on and maybe there's construction in one area that's you didn't think about, these people didn't think about, and it's only now being brought up now. You still want to listen to the community, be like, hey, this construction is impacting people trying to get to school, or people can't cross the road at this section anymore, and that was kind of the accessible section for all people. So it's really important to keep on listening to the community throughout your whole project that you're doing. Another important task, more values, is to share knowledge with those who you're working with, whether it be like your fellow planners who are helping you in a project, or whether it be the community members in the community that you are helping or doing this project in. Because you went through college to be a planner, you may have a master's certificate, you have may done, maybe you have 20 years of experience, or maybe, you're just out of college. Regardless, you have much more knowledge than the community members around you. Maybe some of them know a little bit about planning. Maybe some of them are planners too. And even if some of them maybe have more experience than you still have knowledge that you can share with them because everyone has this different kind of mindset and this different perspective on things. And I think it's really important to share that knowledge of others. You have been in different scenarios that they have been in. They have also been in different scenarios. They may not think about something that you're trying to talk about. So you can really teach others something. You can especially teach the community about things. Maybe you inspire them to start doing these community meetings themselves. It can kind of create a more bond around this town and provide more support, and it can be a much better, well connected town, and that can be important. You can have this lasting impact, and it's something that's really powerful as a planner that you have the ability to make changes and to make um, connections. You can make them keep going for years and years and years, have this lasting impact, which is really cool as a planner. Yeah. And my last kind of value is don't single out others. This can be in meetings. This can be in the planning phase. Say you're making a wheelchair ramp, but this wheelchair, maybe the direction you're going, you didn't think about this, but the ramp goes down and then the exit is so much further than where the stairs are. Um, and someone who is a wheelchair user is like, hey, I want to be able to exit out the same place as my friends. I don't want to kind of have them wait for me, or I don't want to be like singled out just because I'm a wheelchair user. Or maybe you're putting trees in some area. Um, and that kind of like blocks the view of this ramp. This is just one example that I'm thinking of right now, but there can be a ton of other different ones. And in the same category as that is bias, thinking about these planning decisions, and maybe you have this one decision that you have to make that someone comes forward and says, "Hey, I kind of feel like this is a bias towards me." An example of this could be, now this is not really a real world example, but I'm kind of taking something, and you're with this group of people and you're making planning and you don't put a park in this section because you're like, oh, these people don't need a park. They have access already. They don't need another park. And then you come up and you're meeting with them and they're like, hey, like, why is maybe this water park going in or something? We wanted like a green park. Why did you do this? And then you have to be like, oh, I thought you wanted a water park and not a green park because who knows whatever this category people are. And that can be a huge bias, and this can be an ethical concern because these people can feel discriminated against because of this action. And that's something really important that you want to avoid, and you want to make sure that this is again ties back into listening to the community that you're around and having transparency. When you actually listen to those people, this kind of bias that's in your mind, I think it's implicit bias, can kind of go away a little bit, and you can kind of grow your brain and kind of be more open to listening and kind of not making stereotypes or something like that. So I think that's really important, not to single people out and to kind of keep your bias down and not have that just straight away and listen to people instead. So I think as a planner, those are my five most important values in terms of ethics and values. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it.